Okay, so we're setting the ring gaps for this motor, and if you're going to do that sort of thing, you got to make sure you use the right tool. So we got the little tool to grind the rings, and then we have this tool here. Some of them say you can spiral them in. Some of the ring manufacturers say you can spiral the piston ring into the groove, and this one here says no, do not do that. You're supposed to use this little tool right here. So now after we're done gapping it, we will take a file, and what you do, let's grab another ring here. What you do whenever you, just a little hand file, and because this will leave little burrs in the end, so we take a file and just deburr it. We just want to make sure, since this is the top ring, it's going to have that moly in the outside, around the outside here. It's like there we go. You can see it a little bit shiny there. We don't want to pull the file out. We want to push. Let me see. Let me set this up here. I'm trying to do this with one hand. So we don't want to pull the file this way on the outside edge. We want to actually push it in, because I don't want to pull any of that moly out of that groove, which is very possible. So put that little guy back where it belongs. So what we do is we take one of the piston and rod assemblies, and you notice the grooves, for the piston rings. We push the ring down inside of the bore, making sure it's square, and we use the ring grooves here to, as a reference mark to make sure that the ring is in the bore square. Because you get it in there all twisted and everything, and it's going to give you an erroneous reading. So then we got our feeler gauge here. So on this particular motor, well, all the manufacturers, they say about 4 thousandths per inch of bore. This is a stock bore, so we're going to be a little bit over spec on that, but this is going to be raced. It's going to be on track, so it's going to spend a lot of time at full throttle. So what we got here, we got 16, 18, 20, 22. And what we want to do is set this up where, we test that gap, and I don't even think the 16 will go in there. Yeah, see, the 16 is not even going in there. Now for a street motor, that would probably work pretty good. No forced induction or anything like that. That would probably work pretty good. It's a little bit tighter than 16. I don't know exactly what it is, but I can see it, and we could probably just put the motor together if it was for the street. But since this is going to be raced, we want to have a little bit more ring gap in it. The fear is, under a racing situation where you have a lot of heat built up for a long period of time, that ring's going to expand. And if those two ends, if they come together and they keep trying to expand, you're going to have all kind of issues. You can break a ring, and it can be a real mess. And what we do is the top one on these motors, we usually gap them at 20. If it's 19 to 21, that's okay. But the goal is for 20. And then the second ring, we go about 2 thousandths more than that. We go about 22. So if it's about 21 or 23, that's okay. But we want to get it right at 22 if possible. Now, why do we have the second ring at a bigger gap than the first ring? That's because the second ring runs hotter. The first ring, you'd think, well, this is where the combustion is. This is where all the the explosion, and everything, all the fuel's being burned. This is going to be real hot, and that is true. However, air and fuel is rushing into the cylinder, and that's what helps cool the top of the piston and this ring. So this ring actually runs a little bit cooler than the second ring. The second ring is shielded by this ring, and it's down inside the cylinder, and the heat's going to come up on that ring, and it's going to stay in there. So you got to have a good second ring in these two, and so that's why we gap the second ring about 2 thousandths inch larger than the first ring. And the last tip would be, if you're going to do this, make sure, and I mentioned this, but make sure you use the right tools. If you don't have this thing, it's only about maybe $50. Compared to the cost of breaking a ring and having to pull the motor apart. For me, it's not even about the cost; it's about the time. You don't want to spend your time in the shop, tearing your motor down all the time. You want to be on track. You want to be racing. You want to have it dependable. Even if this was gapped just a little bit too big, that would be better than having it too tight and possibly, you know, breaking a ring. So yeah, make sure you get the right tools for the job. Check that piston out. That's a factory piston. We cleaned that up. Came out beautiful. Looks totally awesome. And boy, nice and free. So yeah, we're excited. So yeah, we're gonna set the ring gap, and we're gonna send it. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.